Hi everyone. This is a recording to share a practice that I use to process negative emotions. It's actually really practical, and I actually wanted this video to be really practical. So most of this video will be almost in like a guided meditation style. I'll kind of get into the practice and kind of show you how I do it and the questions that I ask, and I'll kind of ask them out loud and just talk you through the process with you actually following along. So all you'll need is just a quiet space and somewhere where you can be for kind of 15-20 minutes to do the practice. And the intention is that you could maybe listen to this and use this video as a guide, a few times, and then as you get more familiar with the practice, you can kind of, take it for yourself and absolutely do it on your own. I mean, it's actually very simple once you learn the process. It was defined by a guy called David Hawkins. So the process is called letting go. It's a letting go of negative emotions kind of technique. It's a really good book. It looks like this. I'd recommend it to anyone that is interested in this. And David Hawkins was a psychiatrist who became a psychotherapist, who became a kind of spiritual leader. So he kind of covers the full kind of gamut for me, because he's a scientist turned sort of spiritualist. So it's kind of science-based, and he's got a lot of experience in clinical psychology. And then towards the end of his life, he kind of become a bit more interested in sort of the spiritual side of things. But I just really love his book and his teachings. One of the things that a lot of people say about the book is they kind of ask, well, yeah, but how do I do the practice? And although in the book he talks quite a lot and gives quite a lot of guidance, I think, and sort of instruction around the practice, he doesn't give like a how-to. So I think it just left a lot of people kind of wondering, how do I do that? But I kind of took the guidelines and the instructions and kind of came up with my own methodology. And actually when I was reading his book, I kind of had this realization around, I'm reading a lot, like I'm trying to learn loads about, how to handle emotions better, etc., and, develop really strong kind of an improved mental health. But, reading and kind of practicing are very different. And I really got this like guidance that I needed to practice more and read less. And so with lots of the books that I read, actually, I developed kind of like practical applications of the messages and of the guidance. And that's what I did with Letting Go. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. So the sort of background theory to processing negative emotions is that typically there's kind of three ways we can handle emotions, challenging ones. We can express and repress them. We can repress and suppress them, or we can express them. So repression and suppression is when you kind of consciously or unconsciously basically put a lid on your emotions. So you might encounter something that's challenging and you'll just avoid it, right? You'll kind of deny it happened. You won't go there. You might go for a run. You might throw yourself into work. You might go and have some fun with your friends. You might have a drink. You just kind of move on and kind of quash it down. And then the third way is kind of expression, which I think I always felt was like the most healthy way really to handle difficult emotions. So that would be kind of confronting the situation, talking about it, maybe confronting the person that you feel is somehow responsible for your feelings there. That is one way you can handle it. But actually, from reading this book, it becomes quite clear that actually has some negative repercussions as well. So you might kind of vent to somebody, you might confront someone that you think's caused you pain, but then later on you might realise that you were maybe a little bit out of line, perhaps you were a bit over the top, perhaps it wasn't all of their fault, perhaps you just kind of offloaded on them in the moment, and you can actually end up, with more guilt than when you started. And similarly, you can kind of talk to friends and, vent and complain. But actually, sometimes that just kind of stirs up the emotions without really resolving anything. And I think that's what this technique does for me. It actually is kind of a resolution. So with this practice, you just kind of allow the feelings to come up. and you be with the feelings. You let them kind of percolate through you, if you like, and kind of invite them to come into your awareness. And you don't run away from them. You don't try and shout and sort of offload with them. You just let them be. And then you kind of, in your own time, with your own body's kind of time in, you allow them to be and to come up, and then you kind of release them. And you can kind of do that multiple times around any situation or one situation. It can take one sitting, it can take 10 sittings, it could take, years of sittings, and it's all fine. It's just a really practical methodology. And the other thing that was kind of helpful for me is just in how you kind of perceive challenging emotions. So often we kind of blame out there for any negativity that we're feeling. So it was that person that upset me, or it was that situation that made me feel angry. We're very quick to kind of blame. But there's plenty of other theories out there, different ways around how the mind and consciousness kind of works. And one is the premise that actually it's not out there that's causing the problems. Maybe we were born with these certain issues. We were born with kind of anger. We were born with a certain amount of grief or guilt. And actually one of our reasons for being here is to kind of heal those challenging feelings. But what happens is that when we encounter a situation out there, we kind of perceive that as being the cause, and really, it's just a trigger. So perhaps we already hold those feelings in from way before, or I don't know, we don't know where they're from, but perhaps we just hold them in there already. And it just really helped me to kind of stop blaming others and blaming, childhood or certain things that may have happened to you in the past for your issues. And it just was a way to kind of, rather than, it's not blaming yourself, it's just taking accountability for them. And actually by taking accountability, if you're the problem, you're also the solution. And so I just found it really empowering actually to see these issues that way. It really made me see that actually I could have a huge impact, on my mental health actually, regardless of what was happening out there. And also it kind of helped me to detach a little bit from out there and to kind of get some more space between the outer world and my kind of inner world. And so you can go through challenges and you can encounter challenging situations, without having too much disruption to your kind of inner world, and you're not just at the whim of sort of the stuff that happens to you. And I find that really empowering too. So if you just want to sit comfortably, find yourself a quiet space to sit. It's probably kind of 10 or 15 minutes, I would say, for this process. So just get yourself into a comfortable position. Personally, I kind of prefer to sit up rather than lie down, just so I feel a bit more active in the situation and in the process, and a bit more awake. Okay, so when you're ready, sitting comfortably, if you just close your eyes, and we'll just take a minute just to kind of go inwards and just to connect with our inner world. So just take a few breaths. You might want to just tuck your chin a little bit. I kind of find that it helps me to kind of focus inward a bit more. And just tune into your body. Maybe you can feel the air going in and out of your nostrils. Or maybe you can just sense your kind of inner energy. And now bring to mind the situation that's causing you pain. It can be any situation. It could be something big that you find really challenging, or something that you deem to be smaller. Just bring that situation to mind. And what you don't want to do is to kind of start ruminating on the problem. So you'll probably find often that the mind is a natural problem solver, and it's very interested in cause and effect and blame, and it kind of judges. It likes to conclude as quickly as possible. It likes to understand problems and seek solutions to kind of help you to resolve pain. But actually that's not the kind of energy or mindset that we're looking for today. So we're trying to kind of create more space between the feelings and the mind almost. So a good way to stop the mind from kind of ruminating is just to give the mind a job. So if you find yourself kind of ruminating on this situation, just bring your mind back to breath and just get it to count the breath, or just to feel the air coming in and out of the nostril. Sometimes helps to give the brain a job to do. Okay, so just bring that situation to mind. And you've probably got one word that kind of comes up with this situation. Maybe it's the name of the person that you perceive to be the kind of cause of this issue or causing you this pain. Or maybe it's a situation at work, so it might just be work or that project or that person or that event. Maybe it's a kind of phobia, maybe it's flying, something like that. Or even an event in the future, something that you're worried about. Or maybe it's a loss in the past or a future loss, something like that. Just have some kind of name for it. Okay, and just hold that thought. You can just repeat that word. Just to start to bring that situation up kind of in your body. Maybe you're repeating to yourself that work situation or that problem with Dean or whomever the person might be. Okay, and just keep breathing and just keep relaxed. And then when you think of that situation, there'll be a kind of emotion that will arise with it. There could be a few emotions, but there's probably a prime emotion that kind of comes up. Okay, a prime difficult emotion. So it could be anger. It could be grief. It could be guilt or rage. Could be pride, could be fear, could be shame. Okay, there'll be one kind of primary feeling that sort of comes up. Okay, and that's what we're going to work with today. And when you feel that feeling and just kind of let it arise, you'll find that it comes to a specific kind of place in your body. So maybe you feel it in your heart, okay? Or maybe you feel it in your stomach more. Perhaps you feel it in your throat. Or perhaps even in your head. Or maybe you find it between your shoulder blades. Okay, but there'll be a kind of point on your body that sort of, when you think about that situation and that feeling that comes, there'll be a kind of point of pain really on your body. So just tune into that. And just let that be. trying to change it, not trying to close it down, just letting it be there. And then it's helpful just to name that sensation. So it could be a constriction, like a constriction in the throat I sometimes feel, or a pressure somewhere, or maybe it's more like a tightening. It could be a shooting pain, or a sharp pain, or a dull ache. Okay, it could be any of those things, so just give it a name. Okay, and just let that feeling be there. And then say in your head, yeah, this is anger. Or if your feeling was fear, this is fear. This is what fear feels like. Okay, so you're just letting it come up and kind of percolate through your body. Okay, and you might find that kind of more comes. Okay, and if you sit for long enough, the feeling may become quite intense. It may change a little bit. Okay, so you might start to notice a change in temperature. You might start to get hot. You might start to shake. You might start to have heart palpitations, or your heart might speed up. You might start to sweat. I had one experience where I was kind of sat for quite a long time, over multiple days actually, and I was kind of like literally like shaking and sweating, and it was uncomfortable. But the important thing is to kind of not alarm yourself, and to kind of talk kindly to yourself actually, and to kind of disarm yourself. So actually these feelings are actually really subtle, you know. It's a kind of fluttering in the chest, right? Or a kind of energy that you're kind of feeling in your body, or a tightening, a pressure, etc. But it's actually quite mild in the grand scheme of things. So if you were to compare it to a headache, or period pains, or a backache, it's actually quite a mild feeling really in comparison, right? So just, there's no need to be alarmed. Okay, you're safe. It's safe to let these feelings come up. Okay, so just be with those feelings for a few moments, and just keep allowing them. And just keep quite focused on the kind of physical sensation in your body. Again, don't let the mind wander or kind of ruminate. Keep focusing in on that centre where you're feeling it. Just notice if it moves, or if there are other kind of areas of pain that come up as well, which can happen. Okay, so you're feeling that now. And say, this is anger. Yeah, this is anger. This is how I feel anger. Or this is fear. This is how I feel fear. Okay. And you can do this for as long as you need to when you start to do your own practices, you know. You might spend an hour doing this, okay? It just depends on what comes up and how you want to deal with it at the time, okay? It's totally up to you. for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to kind of move it along and show you then how to let go of it. Okay, so you're feeling those sensations, that feeling, that anger come up. Okay, and now we're going to let it go. So you just simply ask yourself, can I let this feeling go? And you'll have a kind of visceral, really physical kind of response normally in my experience. So it will either be a kind of tightening or kind of a relaxing. So you might get a really strong no, which you'll kind of feel like a sort of tightening, an angst, some anxiety, like a very strong no feeling, okay? And that's absolutely fine. So you're not ready to let go of that situation entirely or to let go of that feeling entirely, and that's fine. Just means there's more there to come up, okay? So what you do in that case is that you find something about the situation or the feeling that you can let go of, okay? So you just start the process, and it's really about kind of changing the track. So often when we feel encountered with like a situation that causes some kind of negative reaction, we kind of close down. And this practice is actually about opening up in that situation, okay, and letting things flow. So you ask yourself, can I let go of this situation? Okay, no, okay. Can I let go of the need to suppress this situation? Okay, and that's a great one to ask. When you get a very strong no for something, ask, can I let go of resisting this feeling? Yeah, okay, because we're doing that now. So you can let go of the resistance. Okay, and if you get a no to that, you can ask, can I let go of this resistance now? So it's kind of putting a time on it, so it's a way that your body or your subconscious might feel safer, you know. Can I let go of this feeling now? Or can I let go of the need to resist this now? Okay, and you get a yes. And you let go. Okay, and just by saying it, I'm letting go, you're letting go, okay? That's how the practice works. It's quite simple. So you just find these little pieces to let go, okay? And you maybe find 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 kind of little letting goes, you know, or as many as you feel that you want to do. So another one might be, can I let go of having to solve this problem now? Yeah, I can let go of that. Can I let go of having to send an angry text to that person now? Yeah, I can let go of doing that now. Can I let go of having to jump up and scream now? Yeah, I can let go of doing that now. Can I let go of punching my fist through the wall? Yeah, I can let go of punching my fist through the wall. Okay, so you're just finding things you can let go, or just kind of asking yourself, what can you let go of? And it might be to do with a certain situation. So say there's a job loss, for example, or you've been made redundant, and that person's very upset about it, and they've been made redundant, that's it, their job's game over. Okay, can they let go of that situation like now? No. Okay, that's fine, they can't. But can you let go of the need to go to work tomorrow? Can you let go of having to get on the train tomorrow? Yeah, I can let go of that. Can I let go of having to set my alarm for work tonight? Yeah, I can let go of that. Can I let go of having a Pret sandwich in work for the next week? Yeah, I can let go of that. So you just find things that you can let go of, and you kind of just start the process. Okay? And some people like to add some visualization in, so sometimes I take a deep breath and then breathe out and kind of imagine that my breathing out is kind of breathing out the emotion and the situation, and I filled a balloon, and then I'm going to kind of let go of the balloon and kind of watch the balloon drift over the hills to the horizon. Okay, so you can do a kind of visualization if that helps you, but it's not necessary. And when you've let go of one feeling, what you might find is then if you still hold that situation in your mind, another feeling comes up. So often behind anger, for example, is fear or grief or guilt or shame. Okay? Often behind pride is fear or anger. So there's often kind of feelings behind feelings. And in one sitting, you know, you might process kind of 3 or 4 feelings around that, all around that situation. Or you might just work on one, you know, let your body kind of be the guide and your mind be the guide, and let your mind kind of come up with the answers, right? And you're really just kind of facilitating the process for yourself. Okay, so then you do that same process with the new feeling. Okay, until you can let it go. And if you can't let go of that whole situation or the whole feeling, you let go of elements of it. You know, you find elements that you can let go of, parts of the situation that you could let go of, and you let go of them. Okay, and when you feel like you've done enough kind of working through, your body kind of will come to a place of a little bit more kind of stability, I guess, and just a little bit less intensity, more relaxed. Okay, and you just bring yourself out nice and gently, so you might just start moving, and then eventually you open your eyes. Okay, and just bring yourself kind of back into the room. Okay, and that's the letting go practice. As I might have mentioned, I definitely find that like the more I do it, it kind of has an accumulative effect, which is amazing. So, you know, you might think about that situation now that was causing you a lot of pain yesterday. Having done one practice, you find that those feelings are just a little bit less intense. Okay, and then when you do the practice again, the next day, when you bring that situation to mind, the feelings are a little less intense again. So you just keep working with them. And one really amazing thing I found actually was that, say if I was working with fear about a certain situation and I'd do a lot of processing and kind of letting go of it, overall fear kind of seemed to decrease as well. So when I saw a spider, normally I would be really get a huge kind of fear response for me, and my response just wasn't as intense as usual. So it kind of has letting go of certain emotions around certain situations actually seems to you know, have an impact on overall fear and overall grief or overall anger. So it's just I just find it a really amazing kind of practice. So I hope you enjoy that, and I hope you get to practice it. Thank you so much.